Good morning to you. You guys ever felt like you missed out on something? I'm gonna tell you this morning you missed out on something because first service got the director's cut of this sermon. I cut a bunch of stuff out. I was trying a bunch of stuff on them, and so you guys get what's left. If you want that next time, come here at 8:30. There was a virtue that was valued above most by the Greeks of the first century. They called it temperance. The ability to control yourself. This is what Plato said, the great philosopher. He said, the first and best victory. Oh man, okay. I'm just tired of talking about the first century Greeks. I kind of want to talk about something a little more modern, all right? So I'm going to give you an example that's more modern. Let's go to a song. So there's a song that came out, I don't know, within the last decade, and I'm gonna set the scene for the song, okay? What's happened is there's a man, and he's at a bar, okay? And he's had a few drinks, and he's talking up a woman at the bar, okay? Right? And what's this gonna lead to? Now, before you guys get all like, you guys are scared, right? Where's this going, Pastor? Can you say that from the pulpit? You guys should read Proverbs 7, because that's a lot worse than this bar situation. Okay, so here's the song. The guy says, it's been a long night here and a long night there. And those long, long legs, he's talking about the woman are, I'm gonna say darn near everywhere. So he's saying, good job, God. This is a beautiful woman, right? Hold up now, you look good, he says. I will not lie, but if you ask where I'm staying tonight, so he's had a few drinks, he's talking to a woman. And it's getting to a part where maybe she's asking, hey, we're gonna do extramarital stuff? And this is what the guy says. I gotta be like, oh baby. You guys like that? Oh baby, nah baby. You got me all wrong, baby. My baby's already got all my love. So nah, honey, I'm good. I'm good is the way the youth say, I'll pass, right? I'm good. I could have another, but I probably should not. That's another drink, right? I got somebody at home, and if I stay, I might not leave alone, right? He's making a decision there. I don't know why he's talking to her in the first place. That doesn't matter. Nah, honey, I'm good. Again, I'll pass. I could have another, but I probably should not. I got to bid you adieu. I hear that's how the French say bye, peace out. I got to bid you adieu. To another, I will stay true. I'll stay true. So he says, no, not another drink. No to whatever proposition you have. I got somebody at home. You know what we call that? Self-control. We call that self-control. Self-control is what keeps you from stepping out of your marriage, like this fella here, assuming he's married. Self-control is what keeps you from gambling away your house. Politically, self-control will keep you from attacking police officers and ICE agents with violence. And on the other side of the spectrum, self-control will keep you from storming the Capitol when the election doesn't go your way. Can I preach today? Self-control is a vital virtue. It's the backbone of your Christian walk. The world wants it, and the church needs it. So how do we obtain it? We've been in a series studying the fruits of the Spirit. And Paul used this illustration of fruit because he said, the person that you are will produce fruit much like a tree does. And he said, these are the important characteristics that a Christian should have. And so we're in Galatians 5 for this, and Paul contrasts two specific behaviors. This is really important. The way of the world, which included, there's some weird stuff in here, and Paul didn't have to go to the weird parts of the web to find it, all right? All Paul had to do was look at what they were doing in the temples. Like they thought this was holy worship in their pagan temples. And he says, that's not Christian behavior. And then he said, but these are. So there's a direct contrast, okay? So let's read this together. Galatians 5:18. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are evident. This is the works of the world here. He's saying sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissensions, divisions, envy, drunkenness, and orgies. That's the temple stuff. That's the weird stuff that was happening in temples. And these things, I warn you as I warned you before, that those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. There is no room for nuance there. If this characterizes your life, you're not a child of God. It's about as plain as it can be, okay? And then on the other side of that, Paul says this, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. And so let's bring up the chart and show you where we've been in our series. So we've been studying these specific characteristics, virtues, character traits that we should have as Christians. And this is what I'd say to you. It only takes faith in Jesus Christ to become a Christian, okay? That's why 6-year-olds can be Christians, right? Our faith's amazing that way, right? But if after 6 months of believing, if some of these character traits don't develop in your life, then you're gonna have to ask yourself some hard questions. Like, am I really a Christian? Does love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, are they showing up? Now, here's the good thing about this. A fruit can grow. You guys know this in Orange County. This is a pretty agricultural community. You can plant a seed in good soil. You can nourish it with water and sunlight, and then you can grow it. So if you don't have these characteristics, and that's the point of this series right now, is you can pursue the growth of these characteristics, okay? And so this week we're talking about self-control, all right? Self-control. So let's study that. In its original sense, in its original language, it was egkratia. And now this is a different type of self-control that's mentioned in other places in the New Testament, but it's all pretty similar, okay? You don't need to know the Greek. That's just us staying faithful to the original text, okay? And it's defined, it means to have control over one's desires or temperance. Here's a way to say it in plain English. Self-control is the management, is the filter of your actions, your thoughts, and your emotions. You are regulating yourself. You following me? Okay, so if we need it, if it's a virtue we need to pursue, in what areas of our life do we need it? Well, God gave us a specific template for it in the 10 Commandments, okay? The 10 Commandments, we're gonna study this in Exodus coming in January, just to remind you of what the 10 Commandments were. The 10 Commandments were given to a people who didn't know Yahweh, right? All they'd known was Egyptian captivity. And so God was saying, from the foundation up, I'm gonna tell you the importance, the things that are important to know me. And so the 10 Commandments are God's holiness standard, right? And so that's the holiness standard for the Christian. And then for the non-Christian, it's like a moral compass. Like, if you do these things, you'll stay out of the courthouse, right? That's why they had these up in the courthouse for years, right? Do these things and you'll make the judge's job easier, okay? Right? You guys remember we studied the 10 Commandments like a year or two ago. You guys remember that? Like 5,000 people got saved. It's not true. Okay. So the 10 Commandments are the guardrails of what we should be doing. But let's get it in plain English here. Like, in our culture, in our society, where do we need self-control? Well, probably all areas, but let's get specific with some things. Let's talk about this. Number one, emotional outbursts. We are in a society more where we are prone to just go off on each other, right? You see it with all the conflicts in our society, whether that be behind a keyboard or whether that be face to face. Our emotional outbursts are just coming out, and we need to control those. What about greed and materialism? Greed and materialism, the desire to have more, right? We need self-control in that. What about this? Alcohol consumption, right? Alcohol, I'm gonna say this from the pulpit. Some of you should never touch alcohol. Like, It'll destroy your life. Some of you have come back from recovery, right, from addictions, and you should never touch it, okay? You shouldn't be in a place that has it. But the Bible does have a place for it. Jesus turned water into wine, right? So there is a place for you to have some alcohol, but there's some control that needs to happen, right? Right? Even the guy at the bar, even bar guy knew that, right? I'm gonna make some bad decisions if I have another, right? So you need to have some temperance, some self-control in the realm of alcohol consumption, especially if you call yourself a Christian, okay? All right, I just scared a bunch of people in here. And the last would be sexual temptation. Our culture is so over-sexualized. And that's not a new thing, right? In the first century, I mean, if you read through the list of stuff in the flesh, it's over-sexualized then too. But our culture is so over-sexualized, and it's just feeding you that. And so we need self-control. We need it. A life without self-control is chaos, okay? A life without self-control is chaos. Self-control is like the gravity, like the orbit that keeps the planets in place. Without it, think of a universe without that, and it's just planets just plunging into space. It's just black holes. It's just too much astronomy for you. All right, I'll go back to beer stuff. It's lost you. All right, if you do not express self-control, you'll ruin your life and you'll ruin other people's lives as well. What would it look like if you did everything you wanted to do? What would it look like if you had everything you wanted to have? I mean, let's get real. If you wanted something, someone else had it, you'd steal it. If you wanted someone else sexually and they didn't want that, you didn't have their consent, that's called rape, right? So self-control is a moral compass that we all need. And a life without self-control is chaos. So living with self-control means this: I don't do everything I want to do. I tell myself no sometimes. Because a life without self-control is chaos. No, this self-control is two-sided. It's like a sword with two edges, okay? I'll go into it. The first is saying no to things you shouldn't do. That's most of the Christian walk, right? It's saying no to things you shouldn't do. You shouldn't abuse illegal drugs. You shouldn't commit the litany of sins. That's the first. The second, the other side of that blade is this: self-control means saying yes to the things you should do that maybe we're too lazy to do or afraid to do. Are you following me? Be active, eat right, have a vibrant prayer life, spiritual life, okay? All right, so let's talk about those two areas. Be real quick. Self-control means saying no to the things you shouldn't do. Self-control has to do with abstaining, not doing, removing, filtering sin, bad habits, bad behavior, bad thoughts, etc. Let's just be honest here. Historically, every historically bad sin of the Bible that you remember, like the famous ones, are due to self-control issues, lack of self-control. Like Adam and Eve, the first sin. They were told one thing, right? So they have a utopia. They're living with God the way it's supposed to be, community. They're told one thing: do not eat of this fruit. And what do? They eat the fruit. Lack of self-control. David taking Bathsheba. He's a king ruling over a kingdom. This is God's man. This is a good king. He looks over at his kingdom and sees what? A woman bathing. He should have looked away, but he lacked self-control. So what does he do? Ruins his life, ruins her life. How about Cain and his brother? The first murder recorded in the Bible. Just the emotional output, the anger, the jealousy. Do you see how self-control is a real issue? And it's not a 2025 issue. It's been happening ever since humans have been around. I was serious earlier when I talked about the Greco-Roman world, right? We have to always bring it back because that's where the Bible's timeline was, right? How often do men think about Rome? Every day, right? The ancient Greco-Roman world saw the virtue of self-control as extremely valuable. Let me tell you about the philosophical ancient Greek thought, okay? You were a celebrity if you were one who reasoned and had knowledge, okay? Their Kardashians were named Plato and Aristotle, all right? Right? That's that. And so they pursued temperance, control over yourself, master your body, control your desires. They tried to find life without God. That's what their reasoning was. Any kind of life without God, which is why Paul was able to reach so many of them for the gospel. Because he would just say, hey, you know that thing you're lacking? It's God. But even back then, the thought of self-control and temperance was a big thing. So why does self-control matter today? Why did it matter to the ancient world? Here's the truth, and we dipped our toe in this earlier. Anyone who does and gets whatever their mind thinks and their heart desires is bound for destruction. Anyone who gets and does whatever they want is bound for destruction. Think dictators, right? Self-control is the guardrail to protect us from ourselves. Hear how the writer of Proverbs says it. This is Solomon. Proverbs 5:28. A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. In those days, they were constantly at war, the cities. And you would need a wall to protect you from an onslaught so that people couldn't come in and ransack you, your belongings, your family, your loved ones, your livestock, your temple, your worship. And he's saying, if you don't have self-control, you're like open to every attack, every sin, every thought can come in. Hear how Peter says it. This is funny to me. Do you guys know Peter? Peter was one of the most impulsive people of the Bible, right? But man, he grew. And this is so cool. Watch this, how his thought here, his argument builds. He is saying here, this is the mature person in Christ, okay? For this reason, make every effort to supplement your faith with virtue. The virtue is these character. And then your virtue with knowledge. So you've got faith, virtue, and knowledge. They're building on each other. And knowledge with self-control. And self-control with steadfastness. Steadfastness is determination. It's the I won't quit. It's the sticking to it. And steadfastness with godliness. And then if you get that and you add the phileo, the community, the brotherly love, and then you add agape love, like that's a strong community. That's a strong Christian right there. But do you guys see how self-control is right in the middle of that? You wouldn't think that's important. But Peter, someone who lacked self-control for a lot of pages of my Bible, shows us why, man, this is such a key thing for being a strong community. So self-control means saying no to things you shouldn't do. And the other side is this. Self-control means saying yes to the things you should do. There are some things that you should do that maybe you don't do. All right, I'm gonna put two of these together. The work, rest, balance, and time management. You guys know what county you live in? How many hours you got in a day? Right, you don't know. You sure don't live like you know. You only have 24, not 30, not 35. This is one of the busiest counties in the world. So busy, so overbooked, so stressed out, right? I was blessed to be on a vacation a couple weeks ago, and it was Hawaii, right? So different. Island time, awesome. Food takes a little long, but it's awesome. I come back, I get off the plane, I'm like on island, I'm just like, that's so cool. And instantly there's somebody tailgating me like, argh. Instantly it's every appointment on my schedule. I'm like, that island time gone now, I'm in Orange County, right? What am I saying to this? We need to say yes to a work-life balance. A Sabbath included. I mean, 6 days of work, 1 day of rest. I mean saying no to some things, especially workaholism, right? I mean saying no to some other things so that we can have a good work-life balance. Number 2, and this is the big one, spiritual practices. Don't raise your hand. Don't raise your hand. How many of you guys woke up this morning, read your Bible, and prayed? The covers are too good. Plus, Pastor, you just said I worked 30 hours yesterday, right? I'm tired, right? We need to say yes to the spiritual stuff. We need to say yes to prayer. We need to say yes to reading our word. We need to say yes to quiet and spending time with God, right? So that's the other side of self-control. There's some other stuff here. Financial stewardship. Let's just leave that with you guys, right? Like, you know, right? Church wants your money, right? Send the offering around again, right? Living within your means, not overspending. We want to bless Young Life. Like, man, I can't believe the work they did with a juvenile delinquent like me. I'm serious. And I want to send that to every city. I want to send that to every school in Orange. That's my prayer, is we can put them in every school in Orange because they're reaching children for the gospel. We got stuff here. You guys are investing in the kingdom here, right? Financial stewardship, the stuff that you should be doing. Okay, so self-control means saying yes to the things you should say yes to. Okay, that was my 20-minute TED Talk, all right? How do we do this? How do we do this? Okay, let's change some lives. How do we grow the fruit of self-control? Number 1, do hard things. Do things that are difficult to do. Do things you probably don't want to do. This will instill discipline. Discipline is foundational for the Christian walk. It's foundational for all of life, really, if you want to accomplish anything. But it's foundational to the Christian walk, okay? Doing hard things. There are 2 types of areas where we lack self-control. The first is impulsive behavior, right? Someone says something, you didn't like it, you get in their face. Someone does something, maybe you smack them around a little bit, right? Discipline will help you to stop impulsive behaviors in your life. Do you guys remember the multi-Academy Award-winning movie, The Karate Kid? I think it was like 80 Oscars, right? It's not true. But like in The Karate Kid, Daniel's son is seeking to learn karate from the maintenance worker, Mr. Miyagi, who is just a karate man, like he knows it, right? And what Mr. Miyagi does to Daniel is he makes him work, right? He says, go wax my car, you wanna learn karate, right? Go paint the fence, you wanna learn karate, right? Go buff the floors, you wanna learn karate, right? Now he was secretly teaching him karate, right? But what he was also teaching him is it's gonna take discipline and work. Your Christian walk is the same. You gotta do hard things. Here's why. We have been lulled to sleep with decadence, convenience, and technology. We're a couple clicks away from not getting up at all, right? Now, not all convenience is bad, okay? If you can get the groceries delivered to you so your baby's not crying at Vaughn's, so you're not crying at Vaughn's, God bless. Get the groceries delivered to you. But the problem with technology, convenience, I use the word decadence, convenience is we think everything is supposed to come this convenient. That doesn't make a resilient person, and that doesn't make someone who's strong in self-control. You gotta get up and do hard things. You gotta do difficult things. So what does that look like? Okay, tons of things. You can get up in the morning, and so a lot of people do fitness, right? Not necessarily to be fit, it's just because I don't want to. But I know it's gonna be good, it's gonna be helpful, right? So you might get up earlier than someone else, right? And do that. You might give your time. I'll say this, something that could be difficult to you but would be good. We need people here on Wednesday nights to serve these babies, these kids. We got a lot of kids. You guys see all those kids back there? Who's gonna watch them on Wednesday? Yeah, that's a good question. So some of you guys need to do hard things like give up some time to serve our kids. Doing things that are difficult will build discipline. Fill in the blank, okay? Fill in the blank. So you're disciplining yourself by doing hard things. Number 2, change your mindset. Change your thought life. The second type of area where we lack self-control is the times we choose sin. So there's two times. One is impulsive, and one is the time we choose sin. What happens is we first entertain that sin in our mind. Okay, I'm gonna say something that might be totally wrong, just throw it away. I'm not trying to be a heretic, okay? We talked about Adam and Eve earlier, right? Right? And how when Eve saw the fruit, she saw that it was good to the eyes, it looked good, and it was good to eat. But what if, I might not know, remember I could be wrong, what if that's not the first time she said that? She's been living in the garden. She's been walking in the garden. Maybe she walked past it and she was like, oh, that looks, okay, no, I'm not gonna, right? And then she walks past it again and goes, well, maybe just no. And then when the devil comes in the form of a snake, all he has to do is, so did God really? She goes, yes, right? Because when you entertain it with your mind first, it's easy to interact. You have excused it. So this is what it would look like for you. You got the cute little receptionist, and you're like, well, maybe a little look, because that's not going to hurt me if it's a little look. Good job, God, right? Right? And you go, maybe a little flirty comment, like, oh, how was your weekend? Oh, right? Right? And then you come back, and you're like, well, maybe just a lunch. We'll just go to lunch. We're friends. Before you know it, you're in a full-fledged affair. Ruined their lives. Ruined your family's life. The things that you entertain with your mind turn into the sin that you produce. This is how Paul said it, 2 Corinthians 10. We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God and take every thought captive to obey Christ. That means the thoughts that come in my mind that are not of God, I grab them and I go, yes or no, okay? Yes or no. I filter them, and I go, nope, no way, not that. Or yes, this is godly, this is good, right? So you change your mind. If your mind changes, your actions will change. You just got to be willing to change your mind, okay? You following me? Did I miss you with that? Number 3, this one is for a very small percentage of you, but if this is you, it'll change your life, so I'll just say it, okay? Number 3 is redirect the passion. Redirect your passion. Some of you are falling to temptations or looking around for temptations because you have too much drive, you have too much desire, you have too much passion, and you don't know where to direct it. And so you direct it towards sin because that's what the world tells us. It's like a 6-year-old, like a little 6-year-old. I want to say boy, it could be a girl. It's a 6-year-old child. And they're setting their G.I. Joes on fire or their Barbies on fire, right? Is that a little pyromaniac? Is that a little pyromaniac? I'm going to say no. You know what I'm going to say? That's a bored kid, right? So what do if there's a bored kid setting their toys on fire? What do? You give them an outlet, right? You give that kid a Lego set, you give that kid a model set, you get some STEM stuff in their hands, and you let them direct that energy and that passion to something else, and then what do you have after that? You got no more toys on fire, right? Because that kid, that 6-year-old, was able to put that energy into something else. You following me? That's a parenting tip for you if you didn't know that, right? So some of you are the same. You got passion. You got drive. The problem is this world has dampened it down. It says, you know what you do with your passion and your drive? Pursue yourself. Pursue lust. Pursue drink. And it's like, pursue Jezebel. And it's like, that's, church, do something positive with your drive and your passion. Don't dampen it down, fuel that. What can you do? Change the world. Invent something, cure a disease, serve the children, serve young life, educate, do something positive with it. I'm gonna say something, and I want us to do it without being political, okay? Can we not be political for 1 second? If you like politics more than you like Jesus, you're gonna hate this church. Okay. Can we agree that Elon Musk is kind of brilliant? He's kind of brilliant. He has drive, he's an inventor, he's also like severely weird. Like, that's a weird dude. Like, he might have substance abuse problems. Like, Elon Musk is someone who I would let work on my car, but not let watch my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you wanted to speak on the platform, I go, no, you're not doing that. You wanna go work on the car? You wanna go get a solar power or something? Here's my point. How are these guys the forefront of innovation, invention, and creation? Where are you at, church? Like, why aren't the church, the spirit-filled, born-again people of the church, the ones out there leading this charge? It's because your passion's been dampened down. Or because you've taken that passion and pursued what? Jezebel? Do something positive with your passion. You are the most creative people in the world because you have God. Change the world. Don't run to sin. And here's my fourth, and this is what Paul really wanted you to do. You want self-control? Submit to the Spirit. Submit to the Spirit. Now, I know where I am. Okay, I know I'm a pastor in America, in the West. You guys will not submit to nobody, right? You want to tax me without representing me? Ocean party, right? We don't submit to nobody. Listen, Paul's contrast, let's bring up the Galatians verse, Galatians 5. Paul's contrast between the works of the flesh and the works of the Spirit are meant to show that if you live by the works of the flesh, that's destruction, right? No room for nuance there. But if you submit to the work of the Spirit in your life, something supernatural happens. Not my way, but God's way. You will be changed, and you know what happens? The fruit. And in this instance, it's self-control. So do you want this? You gotta submit to God. You gotta stop telling God no. You gotta stop having God as the Costco card in your pocket. You know what I mean by that? That means that you pull them out when you need it. I'm gonna submit everything to you, God, because I want this self-control. You guys still with me? Did I lose you at Elon? I lost you at astronomy. That was like a couple things ago. Okay, so let's finish with some self-control truths, okay? Self-control, the problem with self-control is you will win 99% of the time. Thank God for you. Good job, God. Listen, pastor's saying good job to that, okay? Like, good job. And it's the 1% of the time when you fail that it's gonna blow up in your face, right? You guys remember when you were teens? You guys remember, a long time ago for some. You guys remember when you were teens and you had that thing, metabolism? You guys remember that? Remember that? It's a myth. So when you were a teen and you had metabolism, you could eat whatever you want, right? Eat whatever you want. Now, when you're my age, which is late 20s, when you're my age, mid-40s, I'm closer to 50 than I am in the late 20s. When you're my age, no metabolism. So that means that I could eat good as much as I can, just being good, being good. And then when I have one little thing, I get one Twinkie, I get one brownie, I go ham on some pie, right? Guess what happens? Boom. It's not fair. But that's how it is for the self-control, okay? You will be right most of the time. And thank God for that, man. Seriously, no jokes. I know we've been having fun. Good job, okay? But understand that one time can ruin your life. That one time can ruin your family. That one time can mean your kids are scarred for life. So practice self-control, please, okay? All right, here we go. As we talk about this, I need to tell you something, okay? Because you hear this, and it's like so many rules, like Christianity, especially if you're new. This isn't meant to be incarceration. This is meant to be liberation. This is true life in the Spirit. Some of you heard this and you went, no. That's not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be real life, real joy, real freedom. and what God meant for it to be. This is liberation. This is what self-control does, though. Have you ever driven up a mountain, any of you? A mountain, maybe it's a 2-lane highway, and it's going up a mountain, right? Maybe it's to camp. Maybe you're on your way to camp, and you drive past those guardrails on the sides of those cliffs. You guys seen those? Like they're deep cemented. They're steel beams. They're there to help in case someone loses control of their vehicle or their motorcycle. They say, we want you to not fall off of this cliff. Have you ever looked at the guardrail and thought to yourself, what a prison. They're so restrictive. Like they're in front of a 60-foot drop. And you're thinking to yourself, I wish those rails were gone. Those rails are there to save your life. Those rails are there to save your life. Sometimes I go on one and it's a narrow turn. And seriously, guys, I get like chills because I think to myself, like, what kind of tragedy had to happen on this corner of the freeway for them to put these guardrails up? It keeps me up at night. I get chills on that. That's what this teaching is, okay? It's the guardrails so you don't fall off the moral cliff, destroy your life, and destroy those you love. So let's embrace this characteristic together. Let's pray. Father, I'm so grateful for my brothers and sisters in here. We all need self-control. God, I know myself. I know my heart. I know my mind. And I know my actions. I need it. And I'm not the only one. My brothers and sisters in here, we need it too. And it's not restrictive, but it's to invite us to the true life in the Spirit. And so we're grateful for that. God, I want to pray especially for those online and those in this building who have said, you know what, I am going to submit to the Spirit today. I pray that you would meet them with supernatural spiritual growth. God, for us who've fallen, pick them up. It's not over. Remind them it's not over. That's what Jesus died for. And then give us the guardrails we need to live this life upright for you. In Jesus' name, amen.